Can we build a software company completely using AI? Hi, I'm Gaurav. I worked in tech for over 10 years, mostly as a PM, and I've given myself a 30-day challenge to achieve this. Last year, Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, he said he doesn't want anyone to learn how to code anymore. He wants everyone to be a programmer simply by using English. Fast forward to this year, companies like Cursor, Bolt, Windsurf, they're already valued at billions of dollars. These are all text-to-code companies. Windsurf was even acquired by OpenAI for $3 billion. Some people are even predicting that by 2026, we'll see the first billion-dollar company built by a solopreneur. I think it's the best time to build your startup, honestly. If you missed the boat during the internet, mobile, or crypto era, this is your chance to change that and build something truly special. I'm going to share my entire journey with all of you step by step, starting from ideation to writing requirements, building prototypes, vibe coding, deploying to production, and hopefully getting some real users in production. So please feel free to follow along and start building. To keep myself accountable, I've started this YouTube channel. And also, I'm going to participate in a new hackathon launched by Bolt.new, which is, I think, the largest hackathon ever. I think over 80,000 people have already registered. I'll post a link in the description if you want to join that. But yes, please feel free to follow my journey and start building. The first thing is obviously to come up with an awesome idea. My recommendation is to think about something in your day-to-day life that would improve your life. As an example, it would be amazing if I could spend less time watching Instagram Reels. Another area to look into is your day-to-day job. What's the most frustrating part of your job, which you have to spend a lot of manual time doing? And how can you automate that using AI? But if you can't come up with an idea, we live in a world of vibe coding. So why not do vibe ideation? Like I said, I wanted to solve the problem of spending way too much time on Instagram Reels and instead want to focus more on my goals. So I'll just go ahead to my LLM service, which in this case is Gemini, but you could use ChatGPT, Grok, whichever you like. And I'll just say, I like solve long of spending too much time on brain rot reels. Give me a few app ideas to solve this. Focus my goals instead. So let's see what it says. So it says it's a common struggle to get caught in this endless scroll, understanding the why. We do it for dopamine hits, for low cognitive load. Passive consumption is easy. Fear of missing out can make you feel you'll miss something important. Habit loops. So basically your monkey brain wants to get instant gratification. Alright, so here are the ideas. The Mindful Shift app, which says focuses on a deliberate pause, self-awareness before you dive into the app. So okay, just basically creating some resistance right off the bat. So you hopefully do not open it. And then it gives you some prompts. Why do you want to do it? And it also suggests some actions. What can you do? Like instead, write down 3 ideas for your projects, do 10 push-ups. Okay, I would say it's a pretty good idea overall. If you still choose to open, impose a delay of 30 to 60 seconds before the app fully launches. Okay, so more resistance basically. And then allows you to set a very short predefined time limit for Reels, like 5 to 10 minutes. And okay, so pretty good ideas. So let's see the second one. The goal-gated access. So you earn your leisure time on the app like Instagram by making progress on your goals. Okay, so you need to earn basically your time on Instagram. Connects to a simple to-do list. Add your tasks. complete 2 work tasks, and then you get 30 minutes. Okay. Focus mode with rewards. When you activate a focus session to work on a goal, the app blocks distracting apps. Okay. Content specific blocking. Only reels. Okay. It's pushing it a bit far now. Allows user to override the block. Okay, let's see the next one. Anti-brain rot trainer. This app actively helps you retain your attention span and find more fulfilling alternatives. Okay. So instead of brain rot, you can do like quick brain games, 5-minute guided meditation. Okay, so if you're giving a much better alternative, gamified exercises, focus on this dot. Okay. So sort of like getting into the meditative state instead of mindless scrolling. What about this one? Reel filter and goal companion. This app attempts to modify your Instagram experience directly while keeping your goals highly visible. Okay. Accessibility. So completely block the Reels tab. Okay, so this is a bit too far, like just going inside the Instagram app and blocking things. Alright, so these were the 4 ideas it came out with, and it just got my creative juices flowing already. I think the next thing I want to do is now write down the problems that resonated with me and basically define my problem statement. It's pretty easy to come up with an idea by just having a very simple prompt. So all you need to do is just have the conversation with the LLM, just go back and forth until you find something that just matches your why. I think I spent about an hour thinking deeply about some of these problems that I'm trying to solve. So I've just listed them out in this document. First, opening Instagram is way too easy and it's often mindless. You're not even thinking before you're clicking. And there are no notifications that force you to be self-aware. Once you open the app, you just somehow enter this brainless scrolling loop, and there's no time limit to keep you mindful of that. There's no great alternative that can help you do more mindful things instead, like focusing on your goals. The social media algorithms are optimized for keeping you inside the app instead of helping you achieve your goals. And they want you to see as many ads as possible, so they've kind of optimized the algorithm that way. There's no easy way to set, track, and remind me of my goals. And there's resistance in setting, easily breaking down my goals, and also getting recommendations on what I should be focusing on. And there's also no social media app that is centered towards your goals and that's nudging you specifically to achieve your goals. Social media was about seeing updates from your friends, maybe people you like to follow, and then connect with them instead of just mindless scrolling. The next thing I'm going to do is some deep research on all of these problems. So all I'm going to do is paste those problems here. I said I want to build an app. It could even be a new social media app that can help address these following problems. And then I said do a market analysis, find gaps, analyze competitors, recommend what problems I should focus on and why, and then give me solutions that can improve those top gaps. It's such an amazing feature. It takes 10 minutes or so to run, but it's going to look up actual data from the web. And then it came up with this awesome, I think like 10-page report. This would have taken me weeks if I had to do this manually. So I must say I'm just blown away by the level of detail that we have in this report. I'm just going to do a quick glance at it, and then I'm going to do a deep research myself on all of these topics. Because end of the day, I think AI is your expert partner, but you still need to make the calls. So let's take a quick glance at it. So it gives us a very good executive summary that contemporary social media landscape presents a significant paradox. While platforms offer unprecedented connectivity, their core business model often foster user behaviors which are detrimental to well-being and personal progress. And then it talks about all these problems, about mindless scrolling, It even has some really good research data, like individuals spend an average of 2.5 hours per day in such scrolling behaviors. So that right there is a big value proposition. Imagine if like millions of users are spending 2.5 hours on this, and if you can even save like an hour per day where they can focus on their goals, then it's going to be an amazing app right there. So again, talks about all the problems, then it gives a very nice table on current platforms and the user pain points there. So it talks about Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and what their average engagement rate is currently. So I didn't know what this engagement rate meant, so I could just go into the source where Gemini got it from, and here I could clearly see it measures how much people interact with your content relative to how many people see it. So basically, your mind is scrolling versus actually commenting. Okay, so I can see clearly this problem does exist in the market, and data shows us that. And then it also does a very good market analysis on what the demand for this mindful technology is out there. So it tries to find key gaps in the market. And I'm going to go over this in detail. I think I need to spend like a day going into details of all of it to really understand the problem myself if I'm going to implement this. And then it also looks into strengths, weaknesses of all these platforms. And it also looks at other apps which are in the well-being space and productivity app space, like Notion, Headspace. I'm going to look at demos of all of these apps. And then there's also goal-oriented, community-focused apps, Habitica, Coach.me. I haven't honestly heard of any of these, so I'm going to look into that. And then it's also going to tell us how can we have our unique value proposition, which is like our key differentiation in the market. And this is again, amazing chart giving us competitive analysis of all of these apps. So for example, for Forest, they have gamified focus timer and it discourages phone use, but what it lacks is that social interaction piece. So again, all of these things, doing research into all of this will give us what are the top problems our users are facing and how can we create something completely unique that could be differentiated in the market. And we need to define our core value prop. So it even did that for us. It says intelligent social companion that empowers you to conquer distractions, achieve your personal goals, and build meaningful connections through shared growth. So again, it's pretty mind-blowing what it can do with just like 10 minutes with a simple prompt. And I don't think I could have written it in such detail. Even if you give me a week, it's like pretty damn good research. And then finally, it I think also talks about recommendations on what problems we should be prioritizing and why we should be doing that, the rationale behind it. So, of course, the mindless scrolling is number one, and we need to increase self-awareness through like intentional prompts, etc. And it also gave us what the competitive apps are doing for this. So I need to look into all of this again. So yeah, in conclusion, I think I got a pretty good validation for the idea and the problem that I'm trying to focus on with this deep research feature. And, it looked at 50 different sources for it, which again is like weeks of work. But end of the day, you still need to make the calls. So I'm gonna spend, I think, a day doing a lot of research into all of this, and then the next step is coming up with the requirements document, which will define everything we want for all the features and for the MVP, etc. And that's all the things we need to do before we can even start building prototypes. For the first draft of my product requirements document, I'm still just gonna use Gemini to do it for me. So I'm just going to use the same chat where we did all this research, so it has all the context it needs. And then I'm just going to say, based on this research and the recommendations provided, just write me a product requirement document. And also give me a project plan which prioritizes and defines a minimum lovable product. You might have heard the term MVP, or minimum viable product, but since the cost of writing code is so low right now, we have nothing to lose. And I would just like to aim high, and I want to build something that our users are truly going to love. Let's see what it does. Again, this came out with a very comprehensive document, which I think again is like 10 pages long. It gave us a name for the app, AuraMind. I'm not really sure I like this name. I'm going to brainstorm and come up with a better name, I think. It gave the user goals, which is reducing mindless scrolling, provide an easy, intuitive way to set, track, make progress on your goals, foster a sense of authentic connection, mutual support, and then offer a digital environment that feels calming, purposeful. And the objective for the MLP is dealing with the top problems of mindless scrolling, socially supported goal management, establish foundation of ethical design principles, achieve early adoption, validate the core concept of the social platform on personal growth. Okay, making sense so far, but I probably have to add a few things. Target audience: individuals aged 18 to 45 who are active users. So usually when we start building a product and requirements, we have a user persona in focus. But since I know I am the user persona for this, and this is a pretty wide app, I did not spend too much time thinking about it. I think it's going to apply to most people anyways. And then MLP feature set: high value solutions to most critical problems. Again, the top problems that it prioritized. And then it gave us solutions, potentially. For example, intentionality prompts. Upon opening the app, users are greeted with a gentle prompt. What do you want to achieve? Which goals will you be focusing on? Etc. And then session awareness, timer, and nudges. So visible timer displays the session duration. And after a few minutes, you've been mindfully engaged. We're delighted to check in on your goals. Okay. Mindful moments: small curated library of 1 to 3 minute guided audio exercises to keep you focused. Okay. What else? And then the second feature is goal management and social support. So for goal setting, use the SMART framework to set goals. Basic goal tracking milestones, have that navigation bar, progress bar. Goal circles, micro communities. Users can create or join small private groups, focus on shared goals. Okay, so overall it came up with a pretty good first draft so far. And it also came up with some success metrics for the features like daily active users, user retention rate, etc. What else? So I also had asked about a project plan, so it's also coming up with a timeline, which is planning, which says 2 to 3 weeks, backend and foundation 4 to 6 weeks. So as you can see, this is giving timelines based on how software development used to be. But now, since we're in the age of AI, all these timelines are going to shrink, because I'm giving myself this 4-week challenge to do this. So we're going to do all of this in a very short time frame. It also did a risk assessment for us, like feature creep, scope expansion. If we have low initial adoption, what could we do? What's the likelihood impact? And what should we do post-launch? So yeah, overall, it came up with a pretty good first draft, I would say, but I'm not sure if I agree with everything. So I'm going to spend one entire day just doing more research on my side and just refining this document. One recommendation I have for you is don't be afraid to experiment. There's no real right or wrong at this moment. The cost of writing code is so low. Previously, we came up with concepts of MVP, etc., because cost of writing code used to be the highest cost for the product development. But now, you could go very broad and then figure out your niche by building a few different prototypes. You don't even have to go deep into the requirements like I'm doing. You could just start straight away with vibe coding and then you figure out what you want to do. All you have to do is start building. For instance, for my use case, I could have just focused on an app that does goal tracking, goal management, and just recommends you tasks daily. Or I could have just built an app that just stops you from doom scrolling by giving you notification on how much time you spend. But I wanted to have an audacious vision, and I'm thinking about reinventing social media itself. There's no real right or wrong. Each idea in itself could be really big if implemented correctly all the way. So, all I'm trying to say is don't be afraid to take risks. If you've come this far in the video, I want to thank you so much because this is my first time creating a YouTube video and it took a lot of courage to do so. Also, if you want to follow my journey and see me build this app, please subscribe to this channel. One last piece of advice I have for you is to please start building, and in order to give you a nudge, just go to DevPost, world's largest hackathon.devpost.com, and join this Bolt Hackathon. We're still in the first week, and the deadline to submit your project is end of June. So you have plenty of time to vibe code. Start building.